This is a short little video about white balance. So white balance is one of the settings on your camera that is important as far as what kind of image you get out of your camera. So what is white balance? White balance is basically you are trying to tell the camera, or the camera is trying to figure out what temperature of light or what color of light was the image taken in. So here's a little illustration of different color temperatures, they're called, and it's basically a different color of light. So here we have, and they're measured in degrees Kelvin. So here we have 200 degrees Kelvin, which is kind of the temperature of the color of sunset. And you notice that at sunset, right, it's kind of an orange light. If you're at sea level and you look at a sunset, it's going to be very kind of orange. If you're high on a mountain and it's the middle of the day, it's going to be very kind of blue. So the color temperature changes throughout the day. Your eyes and your brain kind of compensate, and you don't notice it too much unless you think about it. You can see it, but you really notice it when you see it in photographs, and your camera kind of notices it too. So here is sunset is about 200 degrees Kelvin. A candle is about 1900. You can see a light bulb, tungsten, halogen flood. Tungsten light bulb, regular old household light bulbs are pretty warm. That's why, and that you'll hear warm too. That means a lower color temperature, or more orangey yellow. That's warm, right? That's why you might see an image that's shot indoors. If your camera's set to daylight and you shoot it indoors, you will see the image look orange because it thinks that this is the color temperature. 4,000 degrees Kelvin is about a flash bulb, which we don't really use them much anymore. Daylight can be around 5,000. A flash or strobe is a little bluer, about 6,000. Then you can see a skylight without direct sun is about 11,000. That's like the blue light from the sky. And then high altitude skylight, if you're higher altitude, the sky gets bluer, less filtration from the atmosphere. It's about 1,800 degrees Kelvin. So those are the different kind of a range of different color temperatures for that you might see. And there's others too if you're in artificial light. So here is another shot. This is the same photo, all done at different, or same photo shot at different color temperatures. So if I zoom in here a little bit, you can see this is the same shot. This is an auto. The camera's trying to figure out the color temperature itself. This is basically evening, outdoors, should be kind of coolish temperature. Here, if the camera's set to tungsten, it turns the image blue. This one's set to cool white. It's kind of purple. Fine weather, daylight. Now your camera may have different settings than these. It depends on your camera. You can see it's a little bit little bluer. Here's flash, cloudy weather, which looks pretty good, pretty close to the auto, and then this one's set to shade, which probably looks the best. So you can see you're going to get a different result for your image depending on what your white balance setting is. So white balance affects the colors in your image. You're telling the camera what the ambient color temperature was when you took the picture. Normally you can get away with using auto on your white balance settings unless you have a mixed lighting situation. That might not work. Mixed lighting would be like you have a window open and then you have a tungsten light on in the inside, or you have so you have daylight coming in, that's one color, and warm light from your tungsten light bulb on the inside, or you're under fluorescent lights that do different colors, or you have daylight mixed with something else. That's a mixed light, and that can become tricky. But your camera usually does a pretty good job. If there's something in the image that is a specific color and takes up a lot of the image, the camera might be fooled by white balance a little bit. For instance, if you take the same object and kind of rotate it and get different reflections off of it, and you shoot a lot of different images, you'll see the color temperature of the image change, even though you didn't change the lights. It's just because of what's reflecting off of the object. One advantage of shooting raw is that the white balance setting is pretty much just a kind of a temporary thing. You can always go back and change it. If you're shooting JPEG, those colors are kind of in your image. You're kind of stuck with them. If you're shooting raw, you can change the white balance setting after the fact. That's one of the good things about raw. But the downside is you kind of have to mess with RAW a little more to see it and to set it up. So that's basically white balance. In other videos, we'll look at how to set white balance on your camera and using a custom white balance